welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. This is a CZ457 synthetic 22LR 16-inch barrel, and this is a fantastic rifle. Here is why. So you've seen me out shooting it. What can I tell you? It is one of the most thoroughly fun rifles you can shoot, full stop. We'll talk about technical details in a minute, but let's get to the nitty-gritty of it, because it is cheap to shoot, it is fun to shoot, it's a physically cheap rifle. You can do all the hashtag long range you like with this rifle, because depending on what optic you add to it, you can extend your distances, you can learn about ballistics, you can learn about wind drift, you can learn about all these things with the 22LR. So before you put a post on Facebook, having never shot before, and said, oh, how can I get into long range? Do I need a 7mm PRC or a 300 Norman or something like that? No, you don't. If you don't know, you just get what you've got and shoot it to the capabilities of the equipment already, because you'll learn so much that way. And that's part of the reason why this rifle, to me, is the epitome of shooting joy. Let's look at some of the details. Right. It's a 16-inch 406mm barrel. It's a light profile 22LR. It's cold hammer forged by CZ in Czech Republic. They make superb barrels, and it's got a 1 in 16-inch twist rate, which is pretty much common for 22LR rifles. It's threaded 1/2 inch 20 at the muzzle, so you can put a brake on it if you really want to, or a sound moderator if that's allowed in your country. Makes it super quiet, especially when you're using subsonic or low velocity ammunition. That is all fantastic. Now, the stock is obviously the polymer synthetic unit. It's injection moulded. It's quite simple, but it's simple yet effective. This barrel channel on it, you can see here, is massive. So depending if you decide to change and go to a different heavier barrel or anything like that in the future, you've A, got space for that heavy barrel, but B, you've not got any kind of intermittent contact going on here, because I mean, I'm heaving that around, and yes, it will touch, but you know, I'm deliberately doing that. There is so much space to maintain that free flow. It's a soft touch finish, but I've reviewed a few of these over the last few years. I'll put some links in the description and also on the video, and you'll see how I've never had a problem with any of these stocks, and some manufacturers do soft touch finish, and it's been, in the long run, not a great thing to do, but CZ don't seem to have had that issue. And of course, as well as that soft touch texture to it, you've got these moulded in panels here, which give you a little bit more tactile grip as well. Further detail about the stock, 14-inch length of pull. This feels like a proper size rifle. It's not like a tiny little thing that you're kind of hunched over and crowding in. 14 inches is about, you know, 359mm, something like that. That gives you genuine handling ergonomics, and it's got a rubber recoil pad on it, though it's although hard, because it's not really got any recoil to transfer, it grips into your shoulder, so you get a good position on it, a nice alignment. There's no adjustable cheek piece, and some people say, oh, it won't react if you haven't got an adjustable cheek piece. Well, there are some benefits to adjustable cheek pieces. There are also some downsides to adjustable cheek pieces. And one thing I will say about this is the comb is tall, it's parallel with the bore, you've got a nice slim profile, so it fits under your jaw without displacing your cheekbone to a tie. You don't have to kind of roll your head over the top of it, which is something I really dislike with some rifles, and I see a lot of shooters struggle with. The grip is a nice vertical grip. You've got a little bit of a palm swell ambidextrous either side, so you can shoot it either way if you like, and the reach to the trigger blade is good. Now, speaking of that trigger, and please, this is where everybody's going, oh, don't try and fire a rimfire, don't try and fire a rimfire. Well, I've done them tens of thousands of times, and have friends who've done it many tens of thousands of times. We don't generally have problems. Yes, you can break things if you do silly things with them, but a lot of the time it isn't an issue. Now this is a very crisp trigger. This one hasn't actually been adjusted, and this is actually a used gun that's been sent to me, hence why it's also got a 10-shot magazine. As standard, the gun comes with a 5-shot magazine, but they're all interchangeable, and the 10 shots are super cool. Anyway, a bit more shooting, and of course it just pops in there, and you've got a little catch on the front, pops it in and out, easy peasy. Now that trigger within, and I'll probably overlay an image on screen now, is adjustable from I think 11 to 14 newtons, which makes about 1100 to 1400 grams, which is 38 to 50 ounces. So yes, it's not a super light trigger for trigger twitchers. No, I can't squeeze a trigger, but If you want to learn to squeeze a trigger, you get good reach to the trigger and you can have really nice trigger feel and predictability with it. Learn to squeeze your trigger and find that clean break. Now the other thing I'll say about the trigger is CZ, CZ, depending on whether you're American or English speaking or whether anything like that, they are guns made by engineers and shooters, not just by marketing teams. And part of the thing you get with that is you get a trigger which is adjustable with Allen keys and spanners and tools. It's not actually super complicated. I'm not going to do it on screen. YouTube don't like that, and I don't want to become liable for adjusting triggers. But the point is, you can make sure this trigger will last the lifetime of the rifle. As many of you know, I've had a CZ 457 LRP, which is an identical action to this for 4 years now, maybe. When that rifle came in, I shot probably, I don't know, 1,000 rounds through it, took it apart, tweaked the trigger. Trigger's never moved a millimetre since, once it bedded in, super duper job, and I was totally happy with that. That is a rifle I love shooting. I won't deny it. I liked it so much I bought it. Now, guess what's happening with this one? I wouldn't like to mention, but this is one of the most enjoyable rifles I've ever shot. Purely down to that beautiful simplicity, lightweight handling. It's now like 2.3 kilos, which is about 5 pounds in weight. It is just not a tank to drag around. You can shoot it dynamically, shoot it prone, sitting, kneeling, standing, sticks, barricades, all sorts of stuff. And while we're talking about sticks, actually, talk about the tripod stick with a clamp. That forend is stiff enough, you can clamp that in a set of sticks and it doesn't disturb your point of impact or anything like that. Another great factor to feature in. Now it's got a standard dovetail for scope mounting. You can add Picatinny rails and things like that if you want, but do bear in mind that they add a little bit of height to it. And depending on exactly what scope you want to add, you might have to look at some slightly interesting mounting solutions, etc. This is quite a big scope, and I have put the trigger cam on because I wanted to do a bit of videoing with it. In fairness, the trigger cam is very, very critical to set up, and sometimes I find it, especially as your eyes age and your eyes aren't quite as good as they used to be, you've got to get the scope set up for your eye, which isn't always as good as setting up for the trigger cam and the manual focus on there, and zooming and things like that can give you a slight image issue, but you get some decent footage. Now, I would say in honesty that I don't think I aimed quite as well as I could have done when the trigger cam was on, so I took the trigger cam off and did some more group shooting with that. Shot all my groups at 50 metres. I used a selection of ammunition. We've got SK Standard Plus, which has always been a huge favourite of mine. 22 LR from Hornady, that is great ammunition as well. And we've actually, in this gun, possibly held it over this SK, which is unusual, but quite good. Both of those are blown about 1,000, 50, 1,008, 60 feet per second. So you stay subsonic. You've not got supersonic crack. If you've got a moderator, that's important too. RWS subsonic, you'll notice on target, did drop significantly more from that standard 50 metre zero. That's because these only run about 950 feet per second, but they are super quiet for hunting. I shot a few groups with these subsonics from Remington, which are a copper wash bullet, shot some Federal as well, and that's actually higher velocity. And they were just, you know, plinking ammo I had lying around. Because the point is, I just enjoyed shooting this gun. It was just fun to shoot. And you know, the overall length on here is like 865mm, it's 34 inches. So, you know, you take that can off, if you've not got a can in your country, something like that, makes it so handy, so portable. You can hunt some more game with it, you can do some target shooting with it, plinking with it, and of course plinking is the thing for 2.2 rimfire. And it's just going to do all those things. But if you want to start stretching the distances out, look at the optic you're using. You can change an optic, you can put elevated rings on, elevated rails, things like that if you want to push it out. And I've shot, you know, similar previous generation 2.2 rimfire from CZ like this offering the same ballistics from a 16-inch barrel to 300 metres without a problem. The only issue you've got really is seeing your bullet strike if it's landing off target. Sometimes a sandy background does help for that, and you can, you know, get on target a lot more easily, because if you are missing, it tends to blow quite a way off. And it's not unusual to be in virtually undetectable wind doing at least, you know, 20-30 centimetre aim off with a cartridge like 22LR, 300-400 metres, nothing unusual at all. And it's a great learning tool, and that's why 22LR is where it is at. I just think it is the greatest cartridge there is ever made. So here's a selection of a few of the groups we shot, and you know, we've got some plinking shots, we've got some serious super little 5-shot groups. There's one group there, and you know, 5-shot, 10-shot groups here as well, and these have done very, very nicely. I've shot a mixture of things at different distances, but these are the ones that I'm particularly pleased with, because these were shot 50 metres outdoors and there was a bit of breeze, so I was watching the wind flags and I was really concentrating, and these are the ones I did without the trigger cam on, when I was actually seriously shooting the gun, and you can probably see those better in those scenarios there. I just put my fingertip against that just for a sense of scale, because that is a 10-shot group at 50 metres. I won't deny that there weren't some that were significantly worse than that. That was shot with the SK actually. This one was shot with the Hornady ammunition, and I don't really have a problem with either of those, because the reality of shooting is it's very great. You can show tiny groups. You can shoot tens and tens of groups till you get when you think, oh yeah, this is what my gun's capable of. But yeah, it was capable of it once on that day, at that time, on that specific occasion. But in reality, you have to accept that these ones can be the special ones. Things like these are more common or garden, and you can see how often do you see me flash this many targets around on camera. You know, we got breezy conditions, we're aiming here, shooting low there with the subsonic RWS ammunition there. Nice little group there, got a bit of a gust, lost a flyer there, but pretty happy with that. And you know, you've got 10-shot groups here. How often do you see me just this relaxed and just happy on camera? So that's why I just think it's such a great gun, because you can shoot it all day long. You've got no great amount of noise, no great amount of physical recoil. You can have it with different shooters of all ages, all experience levels, safe backstops. You don't need huge amounts of distance to really investigate the ballistics of a 22LR. And that is what is great about them. And then you can start like I did, do a bit of barricade shooting, have a bit of fun, shoot from your sticks, practice all your different positions, see what works and aims best for you. And at the end of the day, it's just such an enjoyable rifle to shoot. Right, I hope you've enjoyed that review. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell, because the more of my videos you watch, the fewer the number of times you'll see me in this kind of buoyant, jubilant mood. There's a lot of guns out there that are very good guns, but I shoot guns all day, every day, some days, and there's not many do this to me. I'm fortunate, I've actually had 2 already this year, this being one of them, that have really just made me enjoy shooting. One of them has moved the goalpost. This hasn't moved the goalpost. This just represents a rifle that is superb value for money, superb in terms of functionality. And although that other one was great and fantastic and fine and innovative, I'm talking about the Mauser 25, this one kind of isn't sort of super innovative. Actually, there's one little thing I'll tell you about it that I've probably done loads of times before. I'll tell you in a minute. The thing with this gun is it does everything it promises it will do in reality, and I think that is so important. Right, the one little feature I'm going to tell you about is this firing pin. You're talking about dry firing earlier. If you decock this firing pin, let me just bring that camera down in there. So here we are, we've got the firing pin here, And if I decock that, you can see it, because that firing pin, as I've shown many times before on 457 videos, has got this flat top to it, and that is what hits the big top flat breech at the back of the barrel, not the edge of the chamber, which is where your firing pin strike needs to hit to initiate the primer. You've also got twin extractor claws on here, and the ejector is manual, so as you draw the bolt back, the ejector comes through that slot there and flings the case out. So depending on how hard you pull that bolt back, depends how hard it flicks the case out. And the simple thing is, that little round ball bolt knob there, you can put little, you know, the rubber bolt knob covers and things like that on it. The 457 LRP has that on as standard, but it's still only like a rubber golf ball that clicks over the top just to, you know, make it a little bit easier to flick open with your fingers. And you get that great fast bolt manipulation. That is superb. And as you can see here, I've got a scope with a, you know, there's a throw lever on here, which does sort of interfere with my bolt slightly because my thumb's in the way of it. I don't have to have that throw lever on if I don't want to. And of course, this is a big bulky thing on the back of the trigger cam, because I wouldn't use that for my own joy and fun of shooting. I have no need to show it, but I thought I'd show it a little bit on these just for a bit of fun. Right, there we go. So I've done the like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell, dong, and keep track of my regular uploads. And hopefully, you know, it's spring, the sun's shining, the weather's getting better, the grass is getting longer quickly, but there's going to be lots of time this summer for shooting, plinking, doing all those outdoor target sports that we all love in the summer. Because maybe hunting's more of a winter thing. You know, some great hunting in the spring, some great hunting in the autumn, especially the winter, but sometimes the summer is the best time for doing the target shooting and the plinking, all that experimentation with guns and just enjoying using them. Right, I hope you've enjoyed that video as much as I have enjoyed shooting this specific rifle. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.